Hello, beautiful friend, and welcome back to the I Come First podcast. It's Amie Barsky here, and today we're diving deep into a particular topic that shook my life to pieces, and I suspect could be painfully familiar to you right now. Coming in with the hard truth right away, we're burning out, ladies. This is what we're talking about today. We are burning out. And I'm not talking about just any type of burnout. I'm talking about the insidious, life-altering burnout that's become an epidemic among women, among people like you, people like me, who feel this pressure to push, to prove, to produce more, thinking that that more is the key to success and happiness. And it's not just affecting our careers, it's seeping into every corner of our lives, poisoning our relationships, our mental, emotional, and physical health, and our own sense of self. And here's the kicker: we are often the last ones to admit it. Now, before we jump into the nitty gritty, I have a quick announcement that actually has to do with burnout and a possibility of you and I working together. I have two women's events coming up that are in person. One is November 3rd in San Diego, and the other one is November 17th in Philadelphia. This event I'm calling Rise Beyond Burnout because this is for you if you are feeling burned out, anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed. Now, you know me. I like to keep it real. So, of course, this is not some fluffy self-help workshop. This is about you understanding your patterns so that you could say goodbye to the hustle and bustle, the push and prove mentality, and you get to feel more energized, more clear in decisions, and more confidently communicating your needs. So if this is something you're interested in, will you please DM me RISE, R-I-S-E, to my Instagram account. My personal account is Amie Barsky Coaching, and I'll send you the details directly to your inbox. Now, if you aren't able to make it to either of the coast, east or west, but are still interested in feeling less stressed and more energized in your life, will you please still connect with me on Instagram? I've got two other possibilities that could be the perfect fit for you. Okay, back to today's insights on burnout. First, I want you to play a little game with me if you're open to it. We're going to take 15 seconds to do a check-in. So that requires you to close your eyes and place your hand on your heart. Now, this is only if you're in a safe place to do that. If you are driving your car, please don't do this. Or if you're like me, an overachiever, then please pull over, put your car in park first, and then join us. Okay, hand on the heart, eyes are closed, take a deep breath in and out. And I want you to be really honest with yourself as I ask you to picture the end of your typical day. What does the end of your typical day look like? How do you feel? Are you physically exhausted? Are you mentally irritable? Do you feel like you're running on fumes, barely keeping all the plates spinning in the air? Now, if you feel energized and calm and present with your loved ones, hell yes, I am so celebrating you because that's rare for most women. If you're on the other side of the spectrum and you're nodding along to the spinning of the plates, one, you're not alone. Two, it's time that we talk about it. Good. So take a deep breath in and out and open your eyes. Well done. Well done. I hope you were honest with yourself because this is really important information. And here's why. Today, we're going to break it down into 4 categories of what burnout could look like in different areas of your life. They are relationships, mental health, physical health, and emotional health. So we're going to start with relationships because burnout is the killer of relationships. Because burnout doesn't stay at work. It follows you home. It crawls into bed with you. It gets in between the sheets of you and your loved one. And it's very hard because you're feeling constantly depleted and you just don't have the energy. You don't have the energy to be present with your loved ones, meaning having meaningful conversations, having time for deep listening, having time for intimacy, for the small gestures that keep love alive when it comes to relationships. Now think about it. When's the last time you had a deep, uninterrupted conversation with your partner or your spouse that wasn't about logistics or problems? Burnout often steals these beautiful moments from us. It makes us short-tempered, it makes us impatient, and you start to see your partner or your spouse as just another demand of your time and energy. Now, when it comes to romantic intimacy, forget about it. That becomes a chore. Physical touch and emotional vulnerability, these require energy that you simply don't have when you're feeling burned out. And I want to presence that it's not just about romantic relationships that suffer here. Our connections with our friends, with children in your life, whether they're yours or your beautiful nieces and nephews, and even ourselves, you become more irritable. You find yourself getting overwhelmed at the smallest little things. You feel very, I'm going to call it hyper reactive, and you lose patience with people that just want to connect with you, your friends that just want to catch up. And all of these relationships in your lives, they require nurturing. And that burnout makes it nearly impossible to nurture healthy relationships. I remember a client, we're going to call her Sarah. She is a successful CEO and a mother of two, and she came to me on the brink of divorce. And she said to me, Amie, I can't remember the last time I really looked at my husband, like looked into his eyes and really saw him. She had a great analogy. She said, I feel like we are two passing ships in the night, too exhausted to signal each other. And the sad part is, Sarah's story is not unique at all. I've seen burnout erode even the strongest of foundations in relationships. And it usually starts small. It starts with skipping maybe a date night or two here and there. And then it goes into forgetting anniversaries, and then into, I'm just too tired to make love. And then it escalates. Maybe you have separate bedtimes, separate vacations, and you end up living separate lives. And before you know it, it's like living with a stranger and going, well, where the heck did our love go? What happened? Here's the truth. It's usually not because the love disappeared. It's usually because the burnout has buried the love under layers and layers and layers of exhaustion and resentment. Now, that's just one area, so let's put a pin in that for now. We're going to jump over into mental health for a moment. Now, mental health, I like to think of, it's like a minefield. Chronic stress doesn't just make us tired. Chronic stress actually rewires your brain, moving you towards anxiety, depression, insomnia. And these are not character flaws or weaknesses. This is your body sending off alarm bells, screaming, red alert, that something needs to give here. What does it really look like? Let's get under this even more so that you can understand what you might be experiencing so that you can start to make these changes. And for me, it was this. Awake at 3 a.m. in the morning with my mind racing with tomorrow's to-do list, feeling so overwhelmed of what's on the list to do. For some of you, it might feel like snapping at your kids over simple mistakes and then drowning yourself in guilt about it. This is another one I would do. Cry in my car during my lunch breaks, just have emotional breakdowns wondering, I am so not cut out for this life that I've built. This amazing life just feels like it's too much. And so I want to remind you, please, that one, you are so capable of having this beautiful life that you've built and experiencing it from a place of thriving versus just surviving. We just have to change some things. You get to change how you are being with everything. Change the ways in which you're living this life. Did you know that burnout hijacks your brain chemistry? It floods your system with cortisol and stress hormones, which disrupts everything from your sleep patterns to your ability to concentrate. You become hypervigilant and always worried about, oh my gosh, when is the other shoe going to drop? Like, what the heck? And you just wait with that anticipation. Often you also feel very disconnected, meaning you'll use an emotional self-preservation type of thing, disassociation, if you will. So then you end up feeling numb and really just empty. For me, it manifested as anxiety attacks. I still remember to this day, I was standing in the vegetable aisle at the grocery store, staring at a bag of baby carrots of all things. And suddenly I felt so unable to breathe, like I could not catch my breath. I felt like I was dying. I was like, what the heck is happening? All because I was running on empty for way too long and I was ignoring every single sign that my body was telling me. This was a wake-up call for me. And for many women, the mental health impacts of burnout are more insidious. It could look like the creeping in of self-doubt, of imposter syndrome, constantly whispering in your ear, you're not good enough, that's not enough, you need to do more. It could also look like it doesn't matter what you achieve, nothing's ever enough. That perfectionist that could be keeping you up working till all hours of the night just to get it perfect for the presentation the next day. Now, let's not forget about the guilt. Oh, the guilt is big. Guilt for not being present with your loved ones, for not doing enough, for not advancing fast enough in your careers, for not getting enough rest, for saying no, or even putting yourself first. The guilt is very toxic. And my friend, it is a mental burden that compounds the stress that you're already under. Whew, take a deep breath in. We're doing great. Stay with me. We're going to go into the physical effects of burnout. And again, just please keep an open mind and stay away from self-judgment or your inner critic coming online, okay? This is simple information that you get to sit with, and then we can move forward from here. Now, you may have heard me say this a billion times before, and I'm going to say it a billion more. Your body keeps the score. Our body is a living library of every experience, and it is constantly keeping the score. And our bodies aren't subtle about it. They are, again, sending signals. It could be chronic fatigue. It could be a weakened immune system, hormonal imbalances, autoimmune disorders. The list goes on and on and on. We wear burnout like a second set of skin, and eventually what's really sad is it becomes normal, or what we think is normal. Now, let's get a little more specific, because it's important to know yourself, because when we know ourselves, that's when we can make powerful choices. It could also look like, wow, I get a cold every time something's going on around the office and your immune system's feeling shot. It could be chronic headaches that show up, and it doesn't matter what kind of aspirin strength you take, nothing supports you. It could look like GI issues or IBS or acid reflux, because stress wreaks havoc on our digestive systems. Now, for many women, burnout manifests in our hormonal health. So irregular periods, severe PMS, and unfortunately, fertility struggles as well. These aren't just inconveniences. Your body is screaming for help. The constant flood of stress hormones totally disrupt your entire endocrine system, throwing everything out of whack. Now, I haven't even gotten to mention sleep yet, so let's jump into that for just a second. Sleep. Quality of sleep is so important, and when you're experiencing burnout, it is very rare. You either lie awake anxious about tomorrow, or maybe you sleep. This was me. I would sleep, but I would never actually feel rested. And this creates a very vicious cycle, because lack of sleep increases stress, which makes sleep harder, and it goes on and on and on, and you're stuck on this hamster wheel. I had a client, and she is a brilliant entrepreneur who didn't realize how bad things had gotten until she found herself in the ER, and basically, she had stress-induced heart palpitations. She was 35. Please let that sink in. 35 years old, and her body was literally mimicking a heart attack because of the levels of chronic stress she was under. This is not normal. This is certainly not healthy. Yes, you're right. Our bodies are resilient. However, let's not confuse that with indestructible. Ignoring these warning signs long enough, like literally just ignoring, you are putting yourself at such a risk for permanent damage. So let's take another deep breath in, because I know this is a lot of information. It's insightful, and at the same time, it can feel a little scary. And again, changes are here, totally available. You simply get to choose. Let's go into category number 4, our last one, emotional health. How does burnout affect your emotional health? I feel that this is the cruelest part of burnout, is that it robs us of joy. The things that once lit us up become chores. Hobbies, there's no more time for that. Passions are now luxuries that we can't afford anymore. And so we become shells of ourselves. We become depleted, just going through the motions like a robot and disconnected. And then we're wondering, where in the heck did my energy go? My zest for life go? This emotional depletion is perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of burnout. It's like living in a damp, drabby basement. I'm an East Coaster living on the West Coast, and East Coast in the basements in the wintertime, very damp and drabby. And for me, I lost my appetite. Like food didn't have any taste anymore. So it's different for everybody. So just start to notice how it's showing up. And for some women, achievements, oh my gosh, women would achieve so much and yet feel so like, hollow. I have clients, they can't remember the last time they felt genuinely happy in life, genuinely excited about life. They're going through life feeling very, I like the word meh. It's the equivalent of fine, right? I'm feeling fine, not quite depressed, but such a lack of enthusiasm for life. And that lack totally impacts creativity, ability to problem solve, and capacity for empathy. You end up operating on autopilot, doing what needs to be done, checking the boxes, but never actually present and alive and excited about life. The emotional bandwidth narrows to the point where you can barely manage your own feelings. This was definitely me. I could not manage my own feelings, let alone hold space and a loving presence for people that I cared about. And, the worst part is we don't even realize it's happening until it's happening. We tell ourselves that, well, you know what? I guess this is just what adulting feels like. Seriously? Is that what the world has come to? Thinking that losing our zest for life is a normal part of growing up and taking on responsibilities and building the life of our dreams? I'm here to tell you, no, this is not the truth. This is not how we're meant to live our lives at all. That joy, that vibrancy, that enthusiasm, it is still there. I promise you, it is still there. It's just buried. It's buried under layers and layers of burnout. And uncovering it again and rediscovering what lights you up, that's not a luxury. Hear me loud and clear. This is essential to your well-being, for your relationships, for your ability to show up for yourself and your life. Now, I can imagine you might be thinking, but Amie, this is just life, and this is what it takes for me to have all the things that I have and experience all the things I'm experiencing. I'm calling bullshit right here, right now. Sorry. Well, you know what? I'm not sorry for the language. I'm calling bullshit. You know what? I'm going to go a layer deeper. We need to call it what it is. It's a crisis born from 3 things: impossible standards, internalized guilt, and society still expecting women to be everything to everyone else and putting your dreams and goals and desires on the back burner. So what do we do? What do we do with this? How do we pull ourselves back from this brink? First, we need to acknowledge the problem. So hopefully today you acknowledge some things that are going on so you can start to change it. Burnout is not a badge of honor to wear with pride. It is not a sign that you're working hard enough. It's a flashing warning signal to say that something in your life is fundamentally out of balance. Secondly, we need to redefine success. This is huge. We need to, right here, right now, start rewriting the story. Success is not measured over how many hours you put in at work or the number of plates that you are spinning and juggling. Success is the feeling of fulfillment in life, having energy for the people that you love and for the passions that you want to keep bringing into your life that fill up your own cup. Thirdly, and this is the hard part, you get to start saying no. This means setting healthy boundaries. I know. This might be extremely uncomfortable for you because you've grown accustomed to, similar to myself, doing everything for everyone. And there is a very valid part of you that feels so valued, so loved, because you know what? It can feel really good to be the problem solver for people, be the hero for everyone. I totally get it. But you get to ask yourself, at the cost of everything we just talked about? At the cost of what? So it's time. It's time for you to own your voice, to start saying no. No to all the extra projects, no to the volunteer commitments, no to the social obligations that you know would drain you rather than fill you up. You need to fiercely protect your time and energy. It's your greatest asset. Now, if you're open to play along, let's do a quick visualization before we close out this episode. I want you to picture your energy as a beautiful, ornate water fountain or waterfall. And it is at the center of a very vibrant garden, a very vibrant, luxurious, beautiful garden. This fountain powers everything. This water is everything. It is your life source. It is your life source to your relationships, your health, your career. Now I want you to imagine this water running dry, the fountain, the waterfall running dry. The garden withers and everything suffers. Now, your job, your most important job in the entire world is to keep your fountain flowing, your waterfall flowing. Please remember that the most important relationship you will ever have in your entire life is with yourself. It's with yourself. So to do this, you need to be ruthless about what you allow to drain your energy and what you allow to intentionally replenish it. Can I let you in on a little secret? You're not a human doing. You're a human being. You are a living, thriving, breathing, feeling human who has limits. And you get to start honoring those limits. It's not weakness. It's actually quite the opposite. When you honor yourself, this is the ultimate form of self-respect and self-care. Okay, so as we wrap up today's episode, keep an eye out for more to come around support when it comes to burnout and boundaries and so much more. But for now, I want you to do one thing. Will you please be gentle with yourself? You're doing the best you can with the resources you have. And of course, if you want more resources, please connect with me, find me on Instagram. I got you. You don't have to do any of this alone. Yeah? Okay. Thank you for joining me today. If you feel this episode resonated, if it supported and served you, will you please share it with a friend who might need to hear something similar around burnout and stress and anxiety in their lives? Remember that sharing is caring, and we're all in this together, okay? So until next time, Amie Barsky here, wrapping you in a big, warm hug. My friend, please know that you are so worthy of a life that is feelings of energy and thriving and zest, not the opposite of that. And you get to start filling up your own cup today. All right, big hugs. We'll see you next time.